Welcome to Liberty Park Music. I'm Michelle Huang, your piano instructor. In today's lesson, we'll spend the first half reviewing how to harmonize a melody using the tonic and dominant chords. We will also review how to transpose a piece from one key to another. In the second half of today's lesson, we'll learn about chord inversions and how to use them along with the root position chords that we have learned to harmonize melodies. As you can see here in this short piece, the melody is given in the treble clef. The bass clef is harmonized with either a tonic or dominant on the first beat of every measure. The first two measures are figured out for us. Now we have to decide if a tonic or dominant would sound better for each measure. How we figure this out is by looking at the chords of 1 and 5. In the key of D major, a 1 chord is spelled D, F sharp, and A. A 5 chord is spelled A, C sharp, E. Looking at the first measure, the right hand melody has all three of the notes in the 1 chord. So in this case, a 1 chord would sound best on the left hand. In the second measure, the first note of the melody is E. This, however, clashes with the D in the 1 chord, creating a dissonant sound. This E, however, is the fifth of the 5 chord, so it would sound nicer with a dominant chord. Now, spend a few minutes and figure out the rest of the harmonization for this piece. When in doubt, try both harmonies with each measure. Before we play this piece together, let's take a look at the last two measures of the piece. As you probably have noticed by now with the numerous short pieces we have played, most pieces end in tonic. A dominant chord almost always precedes a tonic at the end of the piece. If you look at the penultimate measure of this piece, the melody has 2 Fs and 2 Es. So it's a coin toss. The left hand can either be a 1 chord or a 5 chord. Try both. Either way will work. But I think you will like the 5-1 sound better because it has more variety going to the 1, the last measure. This is what 1-1 sounds like. Five, 1. Now let's play this piece together. The next step is to transpose it to another key. Let's do E major, which is just a whole step up. Go ahead and play an E major 5-finger pattern on the right hand. Now, let's just play the right hand melody in E major. Remember, in transposition, the tune stays the same. The intervals in between the notes stay the same. The fingering stay the same, but the pitches change. So read everything up a whole step. You also know the tune so well by now, so trust your ears as well. Let's give it a go. let's play the tonic and dominant chords of E major. In E major, the first note of the tonic is E. We build a triad on top of that E to form the tonic chord. The first note of the dominant is 5 notes up from E, which is B. We build a B major triad to form a dominant chord. However, because of where the right hand melody will be, the two hands will clash. Go ahead and bring the left hand 5 chord down an octave. Now practice going back and forth between these two chords to get comfortable with the movement. Remember, you will need to pick up each chord shortly before each bar line in order to get to the next chord on time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's play this piece in E major, hands together. Remember, you're seeing D major on the score, but playing the piece in E major. You will find more harmonization and transposition exercises in your homework. Go through the same process that we have just did in the last part of the lessons to learn them. Figure out the tonic and dominant chords first, and be able to go back and forth between the two chords comfortably on the left hand. Play the right hand once, then put hands together. In the next part of the lesson, we'll be learning new ways to arrange notes in a chord to vary the harmonization of a melody. So far, the chords we have learned are in their root positions, composed of 3 notes stacked on top of each other: root, third, and fifth. These notes can be rearranged or inverted to form chord inversions. As you can see on the screen here, to invert a chord, we simply bring the lowest note up an octave. The letter names stay the same, even though the notes are rearranged. There are 3 positions for each major chord: root position, first inversion, and second inversion. In root position, the root, or 1, is on the bottom. In first inversion, the root is moved up an octave. Now the third is on the bottom. In second inversion, the E from the first inversion moves up an octave. Now the fifth is on the bottom. So as you can see, it's all about rearrangement of notes. To find the root of a chord inversion, simply locate the interval of a fourth in the inversion. The root will always be the upper note of the fourth. Once you find the root, you can stack all the notes back to the root position. By now you're probably wondering why we're learning about chord inversions. There are many reasons for it. One of them being that chord inversions gives music a varied sound and color. A root position chord is going to sound a little different from the first and second inversion chords, even though they all share the same notes. Another reason is that different chord inversions allow you to move from one chord to another more smoothly. For example, say you want to move from C major chord to F major chord. You have to physically lift and move your hand to shift from one chord to another. Instead, let's find an inversion of major chord where you don't have to shift too far away from C major chord. To do that, let's start from root position of F major chord and find the right inversion for it. First inversion. Second inversion. Looks like second inversion will be the best inversion because there's a common note C on the bottom in between the two notes. Now you don't have to move very far to get to the next chord. The result is a much smoother and easier movement with a different shade of color. This next piece we will look at is a short exercise by Chord to practice chord inversions. First of all, let's observe the clefs first. Notice both hands are in treble clefs, even the left hand. So looking at this piece, we're in C major. Let's take a look at the left hand chords first. As you can see here, we have few chords in root position and also in inversions. The chord in root position is easily recognized as the tonic chord. In the third measure, first find the root to determine the chord name. Locate the interval of a fourth in the chord, which means the top note G is the root. So now we know that the chord in the third measure is a 5 chord. Now figure out the inversion. We have a third on the bottom, so it's the first inversion. You can see why Chord chooses the first inversion to keep a common note in between the two chords, which is G. Let's play just the left-hand chords and get comfortable going back and forth between root and the chord inversion. Let's play the right hand once. Now, let's put hands together. Remember, for your left hand, lift the thumb slightly and move the bottom two fingers 3 and 5 down a whole step at the end of each measure. In this lesson, we have reviewed harmonization and transposition and learned how to harmonize using chord inversions to add variety of sound and color to the music. In your homework, you'll find a few more exercises, both writing and playing, to further sharpen your understandings and knowledge of chord inversions. See you in your next lesson.